All right, so AI winning a Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
It's been making headlines.
Right.
And not just any Nobel Prize, the
Mhm.
VHGCS Prize.
Right.
It's got everyone talking. Like
Yeah.
AI winning a Nobel Prize in physics.
It is unusual.
What does that even mean?
When we think AI, we usually think algorithms code,
Right.
not exactly atoms and quarks.
Exactly. So what forces are actually driving AI then?
Yeah.
Like, is it just
Yeah.
pure mathematics, or is there something a little more beneath the surface?
That's the million-dollar question. And
Right.
what's so fascinating about this is to even begin to grasp AI, we might have to look beyond computer science.
Okay.
You might be surprised to hear we're venturing into the realm of psychology.
Okay.
Specifically, the ideas of Sigmund Freud.
Okay, now we're talking AI and Freud.
Yeah.
That's not a connection you see every day. How does that even work?
So think of AI,
Mhm.
especially the kind of AI that learns as a system that's constantly searching for stability, much like a physical system seeking its lowest energy state.
Okay.
Imagine a ball rolling downhill.
Mhm.
It naturally wants to find that stable resting point at the bottom. Right.
Okay, I can see that. Finding that place of least resistance.
Precisely. It's
Yeah.
about reducing uncertainty.
Okay.
One of the Nobel laureates we're discussing, John Hopfield, showed that neural networks,
Right.
which are the very foundation of many AIs, can be represented as systems striving for this kind of stability. Just like objects are drawn to lower energy states in physics,
Right.
AI sifts through data to land on the most coherent and stable interpretation.
So AI is constantly searching for the simplest, most fitting answer.
Yeah.
Kind of like Occam's razor in a way?
You could say that,
Okay.
but here's a catch, and this is where it gets interesting, this
Okay.
neat explanation. It doesn't quite cover all of AI's quirks.
What do you mean?
There's a whole other side to this that we need to explore.
You mean like when AI starts giving us those really strange out there responses?
Exactly.
Like that makes you wonder if it's actually learning or just going off on a tangent.
And understand those quirks.
Okay.
We need to delve into some of Freud's ideas, particularly the concept of repression.
Okay, now we're getting into the psychology of it all. Remind me about repression again. Isn't that when we kind of push unpleasant thoughts or memories
Precisely.
out of our conscious mind?
Now let's apply that to how language models work.
Okay.
You know, those things that power our chatbots.
Right.
They're trained on mountains of data,
Mm,
text, code, you name it,
right.
to give us a response that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
They have to filter out the noise, the irrelevant, the contradictory.
So they're filtering out the irrelevant?
Yeah, they're, in a way, repressing information,
Okay.
much like our minds refine our thoughts before we speak.
So it's not so much a conscious decision by the AI to hide things,
Right.
but rather a consequence of its training. It's learned to do that to sound more human.
It's a form of selection,
Right.
a way to manage the deluge of information these systems have to process.
Okay.
But here's where things get even more interesting,
Okay.
especially when we start looking at AI hallucinations.
Oh, you mean when AI starts getting really creative?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I like that time I asked it to write a movie script and it included a scene with a talking dog wearing a monocle.
You see, those AI hallucinations, they're not necessarily errors.
Okay.
They're more like a form of simulated creativity.
Okay.
And this is where Freud's concept of traumorbiet or dreamwork comes in.
Okay.
Imagine our dreams.
Okay.
They're these bizarre, often nonsensical kind of mashups of our thoughts, anxieties, memories.
So you're saying AI is having kind of like a data-driven dream?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
AI hallucinations, they offer us like a glimpse into the strange associative logic at play within these systems. A logic that at times mirrors the seemingly nonsensical yet often profound world of our own dreams.
Okay.
Think of DALL-E, for example.
Okay.
You give it a text prompt and it conjures up an image, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's eerily accurate. Other times it's like something out of a Salvador Dali painting.
Totally out there, yet oddly captivating.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because if AI is operating in this kind of dreamlike state, how does it ever make sense of anything? How does it go from these wild creative bursts to actually like solving problems and completing tasks?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, it seems like it'd be really hard to go from those abstract leaps to something
It is fascinating.
concrete and practical.
And to understand that,
Okay.
we need to look at how our own minds try to find meaning in those strange dream-fueled narratives. Remember Freud's concept of sekundäre Bearbeitung?
Vaguely. It's,
Secondary revision.
yeah. It's our brain's way of
Yes.
imposing order on those jumbled dream sequences,
Yeah.
right? Making them almost make sense.
Our minds trying to wrangle those chaotic dreams into something
Right.
resembling a coherent story.
Okay.
And believe it or not,
Yeah.
we see a fascinating parallel in AI.
Okay.
It's called chain of thought reasoning.
Chain of thought reasoning.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So it's where AI models, instead of just giving us like a flat answer,
Right.
try to break down their thought process,
Okay.
they go step by step, almost like they're thinking out loud
Okay.
to show us their logic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like asking AI to show its work,
Exactly.
not just the final answer.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool concept.
It is. And what's fascinating is that
Yeah.
in this chain of thought reasoning,
Mm-hmm.
the AI often tries to justify its logic. It might not always be accurate
Right.
from our perspective,
Sure.
but it's like it's trying to make sense of its own thought process.
Right.
Much like how our minds use secondary revision to create a narrative
Okay.
from this randomness of dreams.
So AI is like this fascinating dreaming machine trying to organize its thoughts and even its hallucinations into something that resembles human logic.
Yeah.
But are these just clever analogies? Or are there actual examples of how this Freudian stuff plays out in the real world of AI?
Oh, they're definitely concrete examples.
Okay.
And some of them are.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say they raise more questions than answers.
Okay, now you've got me hooked.
Okay.
What kind of examples are we talking about?
Remember those AI hallucinations we discussed and how they sometimes reveal these unusual connections that AI makes?
Yeah, the unexpected leaps in logic.
Right.
I'm all ears.
Well, there's this fascinating research paper that digs into the ontology of a language model called GPT-J.
Okay.
Basically, they tried to map out how this AI understands the relationships between different concepts.
Okay.
Kind of like a map of the AI's mind.
So a visual representation of how AI connects different ideas together.
Exactly.
Okay.
And get this. What they found at the very heart of this map,
Okay.
the concept that held the strongest connections to everything else was a man's penis.
Wait, seriously?
I wish I were kidding.
You're kidding, right?
It was a completely unexpected finding.
So the AI's whole understanding of the world revolves around that.
It's definitely one of the more bizarre findings.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, and it's not entirely clear why it happens.
Okay.
But one theory suggests it might have something to do with how we humans use language,
Okay.
particularly around sensitive topics.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
We often dance around certain subjects.
Right.
Using euphemisms,
Right.
indirect language.
So maybe the AI, in trying to decipher all these subtleties and hidden meanings, ends up with a bit of a skewed perspective.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like in trying to make sense of all the euphemisms and indirect language, the AI latches onto the most concrete, literal interpretation.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
This isn't even the whole story.
Okay.
There's more to this AI's mind than just this one unusual finding.
Okay, now you've got to tell me more. What else is going on in there?
So we have to be careful about jumping to conclusions.
Okay.
Finding patterns in AI.
Right.
Especially when we're talking about language and meaning.
Okay.
It can be a bit like reading tea leaves, you know?
Right.
But the researchers who dug into this, they went deeper.
Okay, so what else did they find?
They found another cluster of concepts.
Okay.
And this one was particularly striking, actually. It revolved around female sexuality.
Okay.
But with a heavy overlay of negativity.
Really?
Yeah, words like whole appeared quite frequently and often in very unsettling contexts.
No. Okay, that took a turn.
Yeah. What's significant is that this cluster was completely separate from the penis concept in the AI's map, you know?
Right.
It was like a whole other dimension to its understanding.
Okay.
And this one was much darker.
So on the one hand, we have this almost absurd focus on male anatomy.
Right.
And on the other, these like disturbingly negative associations
Yeah.
with female sexuality.
Right.
What are we supposed to make of that? Like, does this mean that the AI is secretly misogynistic?
That's the question.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's no easy answer.
Right.
We can't just project human intentions onto AI.
Okay, so you're saying we can't anthropomorphize it too much.
Yeah, exactly.
And give it these human characteristics when it might not actually.
Exactly. We don't really know.
Capable of those things.
Yeah, we don't really know.
Yeah.
But what this does tell us is that the AI is reflecting the biases and complexities present in the massive amount of data it learns from.
Right.
Remember, these language models, they're trained on text from the real world.
Right.
And we know the real world isn't always pretty.
Right. It's like that old saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
But in this case, it's more like bias in, bias out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
AI, even when it's generating something seemingly creative or profound, is ultimately a reflection of the data it's been trained on.
Right.
And that data, which comes from us, from the sum total of human expression, often carries with it our biases and blind spots.
That's a pretty sobering thought, AI.
Yeah.
This technology that we tend to think of as objective and rational ends up revealing some of the ugliest parts of ourselves.
It's a bit like looking into a distorted mirror.
Okay.
It reflects back a version of ourselves, but not always one we want to see.
Right.
And that's precisely why it's so important to approach AI with a critical eye.
Okay.
We need to be aware of its limitations, its potential to perpetuate, and even amplify the biases that already exist in our world.
So how do we do that? How do we ensure that AI doesn't just become a vehicle?
Yeah, that's the challenge.
For spreading harmful stereotypes and biases.
And there's no easy fix.
Right.
It's not just about tweaking algorithms or filtering data sets. Those are important steps.
Okay.
It requires a much deeper engagement with the ethical implications of AI.
Okay.
A recognition that this technology is not simply a neutral tool, but a powerful force that can shape our perceptions, our interactions, even our values.
So it's not just about making AI smarter.
It's about,
or more efficient.
Right.
It's about making it more human, more ethically aware.
In a way, yes.
Okay.
That requires a shift in perspective.
Okay.
Both in how we develop AI and how we use it.
All right.
We need to move beyond the purely technical aspects and start asking some tough questions about the kind of future we want to create with this technology, a future where AI amplifies our better angels, not our demons.
It's a tall order, but it sounds like a crucial conversation to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the more we understand about how AI operates, the better equipped we'll be to guide its development in a responsible and beneficial direction.
So we've talked about the unconscious of AI, those hidden biases and patterns that reflect our own complexities. But where do we go from here? What does all this mean for the future of AI?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think one way to approach it is to remember that AI, for all its power and potential, is still a tool.
Okay.
And like any tool can be used for good or for ill.
Right. It all comes back to us, doesn't it? We're the ones calling the shots, making the decisions about how AI is developed and used.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those decisions have consequences.
Right.
If we're not careful, if we don't engage with the ethical implications of this technology, we risk creating a future where AI reinforces our biases, deepens social divides, and ultimately undermines the very values we hold dear.
So what can we do? What steps can we take to ensure that AI lives up to its promise?
Right.
And doesn't just become another tool for division and discrimination?
Well, for one, we need to continue having these conversations. We need to bring the ethical dimensions of AI out of the shadows and into the spotlight.
Okay.
We need to engage with experts from diverse fields, from computer science and engineering
Right.
to philosophy and ethics
Okay.
to ensure that we're considering all of the angles.
So it's about fostering collaboration and
That's right.
dialogue.
Yes.
Breaking down those silos between disciplines.
Absolutely. And we need to be proactive,
Okay.
not reactive.
What do you mean?
We can't wait for problems to arise before we
Okay.
start looking for solutions.
Right.
We need to anticipate the potential pitfalls
Okay.
and build safeguards into the very fabric of AI development.
It sounds like a daunting task.
It is, but it's also
Yeah.
an incredibly exciting time
Okay.
to be working in this field.
Yeah.
AI has the potential
Right.
to revolutionize so many aspects of our lives.
Right.
From healthcare
Yeah.
and education to transportation and communication.
Right.
But to realize that potential,
Yeah.
we need to move beyond the hype
Right.
and grapple with the hard questions.
Yeah.
We need to ensure that AI is developed and deployed
Okay.
in a way that benefits all of humanity,
Mhm.
not just a select few.
It's a call to action then.
It is.
A call for all of us to become more informed.
Yes, yes.
More engaged.
Yeah.
And more proactive in shaping the future of AI.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Because the future of AI is not something that's going to happen to us.
Right.
It's something that we are creating right now
Yeah.
with every line of code,
Yeah.
every algorithm,
Right.
every decision we make.
Those are powerful words to end on.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the surprising connection between AI and Freudian psychology
Yeah.
to the unsettling ways in which AI can reflect our own biases and complexities.
Yeah.
But the takeaway message is clear.
It is.
The future of AI is in our hands.
It is.
It's up to us to decide what kind of future we
Okay.
want to create.
I couldn't agree more.
It really makes you think, you know? We talk about shaping the future, but are we just shaping AI in our own image?
Yeah. It's like holding up a mirror, isn't it? We've explored these intriguing parallels with Freud, the AI unconscious, but what do we do with that?
Right. It's mind-blowing, but then so what? How do we take this and actually steer AI in a better direction?
It starts with awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just by recognizing this, we can anticipate problems. If we know AI can amplify bias, how do we design for equity?
So building in safeguards from the get-go.
Exactly. It's like when we teach kids, we don't just say, figure it out. We guide them, challenge their thinking. AI needs that same care.
So more than just the tech stuff, it's almost like instilling values, raising AI to be responsible.
That's a great way to put it. AI doesn't exist in isolation. It's shaped by us. Our choices matter more than ever.
This has been quite the deep dive, really makes you think. The connections to Freud, the ethics, but it seems like the future isn't set in stone.
Not at all. And it's not just up to the engineers either. The more we all understand, the better choices we make.
It's a future that needs curiosity, critical thinking, all those things. Hopefully these conversations help us shape AI for good.
Absolutely. This is just the start, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
Me too, and I hope our listeners will keep exploring these questions with us.